Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His mind.
So we're back for the first review of any games this season, really. It was a wet and windy night up in Castleford. We made the long journey over Matty. I should say Lewis isn't here, but what was your first game like? What did you feel?
Well, I've just about dried out, which is good. Very soggy
Definitely
stadium.
wasn't the driest of days.
No.
Difficult conditions, a lot of rain made it very difficult for both fullbacks with some challenging kicks.
And there's wet games as a fan and wet games, and when you're in Yorkshire, usually, particularly West Yorkshire, then you're ended up with no cover, completely open to the elements, and they do tend to batter down on you.
I was going to say, we were there last year early on in the season. We were lucky to not get any rain, really.
No, it was freezing then.
Yeah, it was just cold, but this year a bit warmer.
It wasn't cold, yeah.
But talking about the pitch, it was a little bit longer
Terrible.
than normal, and
Tell the truth, that pitch was terrible. It
Yeah.
looked like a tractor field, and I get the conditions were bad and it was going to cut up. But why was it so long?
it was long. And
When Marshall scored at the end and he went round that Josh Sim, he slips him,
he
doesn't
slipped.
he?
I thought he could have been in serious injury.
He
with
takes
that.
half the pitch up with him.
Yeah.
He could have been a serious injury for one of the players. I'm surprised that there weren't any injuries to do with the pitch, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm pleased, but I'm surprised.
Well, it was one of them. I listened to Cade Ellis's interview after, and he was talking about how it's difficult when it's longer and it's wet.
Yeah.
But it's a leveller as well.
Yeah.
It,
Well, that let's be honest, that's why they've left it long.
yeah,
That's
and
why
listen,
they
I
do
don't blame them for it. If
You gotta
we were in
admit-
the same situation, would we expect us to do this a similar?
They're making use of
Technique.
home advantage.
Yeah. But shall we go on to the game?
Yeah.
Wigan ended up winning 32 points to 4, 16-4 at half time. Tries for Wigan were Liam Marshall, Cruz Lehman, Bevan French and Patrick Mago.
And Liam Marshall again.
And Liam Marshall again, sorry, he got himself a double. And goals, 5 for Harry Smith from 6 attempts. And Kieran kicked the penalty whilst he was off on the sin bin.
Yeah.
Danny Richardson kicked 2 penalty goals for Castleford.
That's it, yeah, no tries for
to get
them.
the 4 points. So I think we should probably start with that. No tries conceded. First game of the season.
Yeah, so that's 2 games in a row at Castleford. 2 years in a row where we haven't conceded a try. We couldn't concede a point last year, but no try again, which is obviously fantastic defence. I think it's one of the things that we pride ourselves on as a team is our defence, particularly scramble defence. And a couple of times you could see they had some nice hands and they put it out into some space and the crowd gets excited. And really, French Field was always there.
Yeah.
And I was never worried.
I don't remember a big moment, and we'll talk about the sin binnings and the sending offs in a moment, but I don't remember any real point in the game where I thought, we're scrambling here, we're in danger.
You actually said at one point, this is good to get some tackles in us.
Yeah, we made a couple of mistakes. I think was it at the...
Might have been when Marshall got penalised for jumping into contact and we gave a set away on our own line or something.
We had a set on our own line, and we did a set, and I think... Did they get a repeat set or a 6 again, maybe on the fourth tackle?
I can't remember. Maybe.
And I just remember thinking, we're getting some tackles in us, and we were already pretty clear at that point. I think we had a 20-point lead at that point.
Yeah, we didn't think they were going to score.
But need that hard work in that defence, especially with Penrith at the weekend. That's almost what you want to do, defend and work hard. But I think it would be unfair not to talk about the cards that were shown. And that's going to be a theme this
Throughout the whole
episode, should we
weekend,
say.
Yeah.
In this entire episode, it's going to be a real theme.
Sponsored by Clinton's this weekend, I think, for the referees.
Please tell me you've not prepped that and that's come up on the spot.
I read it somewhere. I can't take credit for it.
I wouldn't be taking credit for it. Anyway, obviously Harry Smith gets done for a tip tackle, given a grade B by the tribunal, meaning he won't miss Saturday's game.
Yeah.
Liam Watts getting a red card.
Yeah.
Where do you stand? Let's start on the Harry Smith one. Where do you stand on the Harry Smith? I think a yellow card was fair.
So do I. I thought that it wasn't as bad as Adam Kieran's in the grand final, and that was a yellow card.
And no one batted an eyelid. It being a yellow card. No one really said that should have been a red.
Yellow card for a tip tackle. That seems to be what it is, you know.
There was no, for me, there was no drive in it. He's not like deliberately dropped him on his head. He's just gone low
with a decent shot.
And just accidents happen. He's not deliberately picked him up and dropped him.
No, definitely.
He's gone low. Bit of momentum from the attacker. Yeah, I get why it's the defender's
This is
job.
going to happen so much. Yeah. When we went to that academy game that was trialling the new high tackle laws, this exact thing happened.
And it was ended up being a red card.
And it ended up being a red card. And
the lower players go.
Yeah.
The momentum's going at pace. They are going to naturally be flipping over. Unless you can get 2-3 men in to hold the top and and go low at the same time. It's a really difficult situation because we're narrowing the margins.
I'm saying you have to tackle low, you have to tackle low, you have to tackle low. But if you tackle somebody like Hooley moving at pace low, this exact thing is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to do really. In terms of Harry Smith, I think a yellow card probably is fair and no ban. In terms of Liam Watts, you want to move on to Liam Watts. At the ground, we thought it was harsh.
Yeah.
We were surprised it was a red card.
Yeah. My first initial thought was a yellow would have been sufficient because we couldn't really see the screen from where
it just looked like a swinging arm to the head.
Yeah.
Which sounds weird actually thinking that's a yellow because that probably would be a red in today's game.
Yeah.
But we're still thinking a bit off last year's rules. Swinging arm.
I will talk about that in a
maybe
second.
yellow, but I actually think when I've watched it back, this is has been a red for years.
Yeah.
Pretty much since...
It was a shoulder to the head.
Yeah, they outlawed the shoulder charge.
And I can't remember the name of the guy who stood behind us, but he just tapped us on the shoulder because we were talking about it, and he said that he's just got a text saying John Wells...
Yes, John Wells knew
it was a red.
Yeah, he knew it was a red card straight away. And John Wells has spent all off-season reading these rules. He said as much, and he said Harry Smith, yellow, Liam Watts, red.
Yeah, I just don't...
So he knows the rules clearly. The BBC lot don't know the rules because they were saying it shouldn't have been a card at all. It's a red card for me. Now, whether it's a 4 to 6 game ban which is what he's going to get, that's where I would disagree. I don't think it's worth that many games.
No.
Especially when you compare it to something we'll talk about later that's got the same offence. In fact, 2 things we'll talk about later that 3 of them got the same offence this week, a grade E. And I wouldn't grade them the same at all. You know, one was clearly worse. There's one event this week, and everyone listening, everyone will know which event I'm talking about. There's one event this week that overshadows all the others in terms of disciplinary.
Yeah.
And it's Franklin Pelly. I'm sure you all know that. It's Franklin Pelly. And to grade 2 other things as the same grading as Franklin Pelly, to me, doesn't make any sense.
No.
But a red card was probably right. For Watts. Because he had no attempt to wrap. He just basically threw his shoulder as hard as he could into somebody's head.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree, and I think any rugby league podcast is going to spend the next 2 months talking about bans and whatever. The RFL have to do something about head knocks. They have to.
Otherwise they would not get insurance.
They wouldn't get insurance. They'd end up with more and more people suing them.
I don't know how the NRL are doing it.
I don't, and maybe it's something they need to look into. What the NRL doing?
How are they getting insurance? Or maybe they're just paying because maybe they just can afford it.
Yeah, these are the rules. This is the way it's going to be played, and I'm sick of hearing the game's gone. It's not gone. You can look at the Tariq Sims hit. That was a massive shot. Brilliant.
We just have to work out what are we actually going to be banning people for, and there's a few bans that don't make sense this week. And the players are going to be missing a lot of weeks. And fans are going to be turning off because of it. And we need to draw the line between, you definitely cannot do what Liam Watts has done, or Franklin Pele, or McAlorum, but do you really need to get banned if you are Paul Seguier, Tom Amone, Tassi Parley from our game, where they're innocuous and they're not filled with intent, and they're just eye tackles.
It's just a penalty.
And they just happen, and they have happened forever. Are we going to really be sitting people down for 1 or 2 weeks every time this happens? In which case, Good Friday, you better get used to looking at some high squad numbers. Because Good Friday will be reserves against reserves.
Yeah.
By the time we get round to them rival rounds, all the stars will be sitting on... All your salary cap will be sitting in the stand.
Well,
in terms of forwards, at least.
The only solution is up the salary cap, make your squad a 35-man squad, and just deal with it. That's what they're going to have to do. If the bans are going to continue the way they've seen in round one. But shall we go back to the game?
Yes.
So, obviously Harry Smith goes off, and this was where I was possibly a little bit critical of Cass. The game was 2-2 at this point. Wigan kicked a penalty, Cass kicked a penalty. We'd gone down to 12 men.
And then they got another penalty.
They get another penalty, and they didn't. I thought that was the chance.
Well, if they were ever going to score, it was then, let's be honest.
Yeah, but get a try on the board.
Yeah.
Punish us for that mistake, and go bang bang. I can understand taking the 2 to go to ahead.
Yeah, you want to be ahead in the game psychologically.
But you've got to ask yourself, are you going to...
I breathed a sigh of relief when
they took 2.
When they opted to take the 2.
Yeah.
But I also, if it were my team, I'd probably go for the 2 personally.
But if we
so it's a weird one, isn't it?
If we talk about the Watts incident... we scored just after.
Well, we took the kick, didn't we, off the Watts? We took the kick.
Yeah, to get 4-4. We scored just after, and then we get another penalty chance. It would have been 10-4.
Right under the sticks it was as well.
Yeah, 10-4.
Smith was back on at this point.
And there was the shouts to take 2 and whatever. And we sort of, for me, had that bit of a killer instinct that Cass were on the ropes. It's coming towards the end of half time. They're down to 12. They're disheartened. They just conceded, and we take the next step and go right. We're gonna
open you up.
Yeah, we're opening you up. We're gonna get another try. We're gonna chance it. We're gonna risk it. We're gonna take another try, and see if you guys can come back.
To me, the important try was Mago's because had we not got something there, we would have to take 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had to get something on that set, really, or on that possession. If we'd got 6 more tackles and then scored, it would have been good. I just mean on that possession, we had to get something.
Yeah.
They'd just gone down to 12. We were down there. We were still level with them. But we were just thinking, right, if we can score here, we can pull away. If we don't score here and they make it into half-time still level, then they can galvanise. You know what I mean? So that Mago try was important in not only deciding that first half, but also in deciding whether or not we went for the 2 when you were saying, which led to the French try, which was good work again from
Great work
Mago.
from Mago, and great work from Lehman to set up Mago's season opener.
Yes.
With the kick. It's just, like I say, that killer blow.
The killer would be, you think, Bevan French's try.
Yeah.
Just before half-time. That try we saw in the semi-final last year, Onny Field finished it off, where Mago takes the ball and steps the first man and offloads it.
Yeah.
And it's something I think we should do more of, particularly with Mago, as he is such a difficult man to tackle and he's got such good hands for a forward.
It's just picking the time and the game position to do it, in my opinion. It's not something that...
Yeah.
We don't want to overplay
No.
a particular...
I was really impressed, though, with Mago. I thought he was probably my man of the match. He did long minutes, longer than we were expecting him to, because Thompson failed his HIA, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, later. But we were expecting him to do about half an hour, maybe. And he probably did 40, 45 minutes. scored a try, set one up, did loads of work in the middle. He clearly looks fitter, which is, again, the second year in a row where he's come back looking fitter.
Yeah.
He's played a lot of games for Wigan now. He's been available all the time. Underrated for how much he's been available. I think Marshall went really well considering he's had no pre-season and what he's been through the week. And the last few weeks, actually, because it must have been a tough month with the highs and lows for what Liam Marshall's been on. And to have zero
Definitely.
pre-season minutes, never mind games, to come straight into the first week at Cass on that heavy track, like Ellis mentioned, and to just slot straight in and to work really well. And the third one I wanted to point out was Ellis.
Yeah.
He got the man of the match on TV, Sky. I think John Wells chose him. And I think it was a good choice.
I can't disagree
Ellis,
with that at all.
Yeah, it would have been one of them three for me. Probably Mago, but Ellis was a good choice. I thought he worked really, really hard, and he got through a lot. Considering he's only just starting in this new position.
Yeah, and there's a big responsibility with the number 13 at Wigan. It's a big shirt to carry. But talk about his stats: 26 tackles, 12 carries for 123 metres, averaging just over 10. It's a brilliant effort, especially when Thompson goes off with the head knock. And you're down to 12 men for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He put a real shift in, and I was really, really impressed with him.
He's another one that would have probably expected to have a different role had Thompson been available for the full 80 minutes. You know what I mean? He would have expected to maybe play a bit of prop or have a bit of time on the bench, a bit more time. But his role will have to shift due to Thompson not being available.
Yeah,
which is a real shame.
It is a real shame, but
Thompson, I don't know. He went into a tackle and he hit Byrne on the thigh, which I wouldn't want to hit Byrne on the thigh with my head. But there was also a stray elbow from one of the cast men that hit him. That's where he got the black eye from. It was just unintentional.
Sheer accident.
Just an accident, yeah.
And that's the game. That's the game. You're going to have them. And
he knew that signing up. I know it's not. He's obviously a bit devastated because he doesn't get to play in the World Club Challenge, but he would have known that when he was putting his kit on for the cast game, that these things can happen. It won't be the first time or the last time, I imagine, that somebody gets a stray knee or an elbow to the head, and it's just an unfortunate part of a contact sport.
It is. It's really unfortunate. Second half, obviously, I think we got off to quite a quick start in the second half. A couple of tries, but I thought Cass really did put in a decent effort.
Well, they didn't give up.
Yeah.
And last year they gave up, and that's why a lot of Castleford fans have been saying how well they did.
Yeah.
On social media this week.
Definitely.
Saying that so much better they can get behind this team, even though they didn't score any tries and they had a reasonably leaky defence. Just because they didn't give up.
There was effort.
They put
effort matters.
they at least put effort in.
Where do you see them? Has your opinion changed on Cass from this week? I still think they're going to be.
It'll be interesting to see them. They've got Salford this week. That'll be an interesting game for me.
Yeah.
Whereas Salford, because they were, we'll talk about them later, but they were all right against Leeds. Salford. Yeah. Where are Cass? Because they were all right against us. So we'll see. I don't know about Castleford yet. It's obviously only 1 week, but they certainly showed me something.
Yeah.
I just worry about the halfback. I just don't think the halfbacks are good enough. I think the rest of the squads can be fine, but I'm worried about them defending their own line, and I'm worried about how they're going to score. Particularly, how are they going to score 4 tries in a game? Because that's what they need to do to win.
I had a conversation with a Cass fan, and he said that Miller was his man of the match, and I just said, he didn't score. And I'm not saying that that's all it takes into being a halfback, but it's a massive part of it. You've got to boss your team, you've got to organise, you've got to get teams in the right position.
The burden of creative responsibility is on him and Danny Richardson.
Yeah.
And they didn't create anything.
That's my thing with Cass.
Can you honestly say, they dropped one over the line, or they were in if not for a brilliant cover tackle. I don't think so.
No, I really can't.
They were close with a couple of barge overs. Well, that's not how to score against Wigan.
No, not really. No, not with the size of Wigan's pack. Anything else to say on the Wigan Cast game, mate?
On this game, not particularly. No, I think we've covered a lot. Thought Miskey looked good, considering again not much of a pre-season with coming back from the injury.
That was it for me. I don't think there was anyone that I walked away from the game going, oh, he didn't look.
No, Bevan looked more like himself as well.
Bevan looked more
Which was
himself.
great,
Field a little bit sharper. Kieran and Wardle. Wardle's some very good hands again. He is just, everyone calls him it, but he is a classy centre.
Yeah, Wardle again I think would be a pretty safe bet for going back-to-back Dream Team if he can stay fit, because what a player he is.
But Kieran, again...
Yeah, slotted in quite nicely.
He's a different type of centre, but he got some difficult passes off Bevan, close to the line, and short balls to try and go through on, but did a decent job. Look
out for them two against Penrith, because I think if there is a weakness with Penrith, it'll be sort of our centres crashing over, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
They're not great in the air either.
We'll save that for the preview section in a minute. But right, that wraps up the Wigan Cast game, and we'll be back in a short moment to review the rest of Super League.
Yeah, about 4 bars of music for you lot.
Yeah. Now we're going to preview all the games in Super League.
Preview.
I keep mixing them up. Review the round 1 games and then do a little quick predictions of the other games. First game was the Hull derby. Hull FC, Hull KR.
Yeah.
22-0. Niall Evalds with 2 tries, Matt Parcell with 1, Mikey Lewis and Kelpie Tanganoa with 1. Peter Hickey only kicking 1 of multiple attempts. We're going to try and keep it really quick because of obviously it's round 1 and it's very difficult to judge your teams.
Yeah, we don't
in depth.
Yeah, we don't want to be overreactive about each team after one game.
Hull KR to me looked like a side playing a round 1 fixture. A few changes in the squad, getting used to them combinations, but some good signs. Evalds was really, really good on the wing. Mikey Lewis at his best. To be fair, it's probably harsh to say at his best, but
he was good.
Was good, and pretty much what I expected from Hull KR. I didn't expect them to go and win this game 40-50-0.
Which is what they did last time.
Which is what they did last time.
40-0, wasn't it? What if he'd made all his kicks? What you know? I mean, he would have.
Well, it'd have been at least another.
We missing any penalties?
8 points, 10 points. Yeah,
you got to take the lead on this one because I was on a plane for this game. Yeah, touchdown, and it was just the end of the match.
My honest opinion, I tweeted it after the game, was Hull KR looked like a round 1 side. They've definitely got more gears to go into.
I think Michael Lewis said something similar, didn't he? He said about a new partner.
Yeah.
With May.
Yeah, they're going to have to work each other out, and
they're a bit similar
combinations.
But I'll tell you what, they linked up nicely for that Evalds try, the second one.
Yeah, they did.
At the very end, that was a nice try, that. And it'd be interesting to see the goal-kicking situation, because they haven't got any goal-kickers, and you've said all last year, pick your best lineup and then pick a goal-kicker from that, which seems like what they've done. Oh, Batchelor missed one, didn't he?
Batchelor missed one.
Lewis might kick if he was on the pitch the whole time. Willie Peters said something like, well, Mikey Lewis can kick and Batchelor can kick and Hiku can kick, and he's been working really hard on it on training. Be interesting to see what happens with that.
Yeah, will they progress from that?
Teams need a good goal kicker. We heard all last year about how Harry Smith was going to cost us in a big game, which he ended up not doing.
Yeah.
Because he kicked everything.
Yeah.
In every big game.
Now, Hull FC, they looked poor to me.
Yeah.
And not just that they look poor, I said they'd be in the bottom 4. They look like a convincing bottom 4 side.
They'd not scored again at home.
There was no patterns. Tex Hoy on the bench. I just don't get it. I don't. They've gone big with the props again. Herman Essayesse, Franklin Pele, Jaden Ockenbaugh. Big bodies.
Liggy Sow with big bodies as well in the back row.
But do they look like a side that are going to dominate you and put you under pressure and really beat you. I always feel like you're going to have a chance against them, and that's not good enough for a side that want to be a top 6 side.
With sides like this, who are built on size and power and all that, there are going to be some games where they get everything right and they steamroll somebody.
Yeah,
and they might even beat a big team doing that, bullying somebody. But it's not going to work every week. And we said as much the other week. It's not going to work often enough to get you in the top 6.
Right.
And the red card for Pele, goodness, what was he thinking?
Yeah. It's not even worth discussing. It's
A good shot and then swing. A defenceless player on the floor to do a swinging arm like that, it's one of the worst hits you can do.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Friday. 3 games. We'll start off with Saints London. 40 points to 4. Tries in this order: Lewis Dodd, Jack Wellsby, Alex Walmsley and Makinson before half-time, make it 20-0 at half-time. Robbie Story gets one for London to make it 20 points to 4, but then Darryl Clark, Matt Whitley, Lomax and Whitley again to seal the deal. Made this a 40 points to 4 game.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really say too much about Saints from this. Probably similar to us.
Yeah, probably similar to us, I'd say. They're a good team. We knew they were going to be a good team. And they've handled their business as we all expected them to do.
Yeah.
Whitley looked good. Wellsby looked good.
Again, I think it's Saint Olcar.
Weird.
Looked like around one side.
Weird choice to have the winger Blake on the
Yeah.
wing and Conrad Hurrell. Just seems like a strange.
When you've got your 1 to 5, well, your 1 to 7 on in the 21-man squad, you would expect your 1 to 7 to get picked, unless Benison picked up an injury pre-match that I'm not aware of. I don't know. I don't think he did. Blake's only going to get better by playing more games. He looked a little bit short of match fitness.
I think he was cramped.
Yeah.
Cramped apparently. So
which is fair
you
enough.
can understand why he didn't chase back that Robbie Story try.
Yeah.
Kershaw is also worth saying. Is rapid.
He's quicker than you think.
Kershaw is rapid. Honestly. So I obviously he wasn't going to chase him down. Which he did the kick on, didn't he, for Story. Loads of people making debuts for London. Super League debuts.
London, just lots of effort. They tried.
Keep going.
Kept going. Fought till the end.
London, who have they got to play next? You know? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
They play Hull in week 3, which looks like it could be an interesting game. I don't know.
They play Catalans at home.
Okay, so that's
4,500 actually.
That's a tough match. That's a tough match. But then Hull the next week, that will be an interesting game. There's a few interesting games this week coming up, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with London and Catalans this week.
Yeah, just a lot of effort from London, I think.
Yeah, you're expecting the same. Use the home crowd this week against Catalans. Try and get some more tries.
Try and get an upset. Who knows? Let's move over to Leavers Huddersfield. Huddersfield winning 16 points to 8.
This was my one incorrect prediction.
Yeah.
I'm sure we both had this one incorrect.
Yes. Masters, Milner and Elliot Wallace scoring for Huddersfield.
A great try, Wallace. Fantastic try. This is the try probably worth watching. If you've only watched Wigan's game this week, the try most worth watching is Wallace for Huddersfield. Yeah. In the corner.
Charnley getting his every game try. Seems to get one every game.
Yeah, that was...
and Tom Briscoe. They had 2 men Simbined. They're real killers. And
yeah.
I think it only cost them once when Asiata went off that they conceded. But it takes too much out of the bag for you.
Yeah, you can get away with one maybe 10-minute period if you don't concede, but then another one you're asking your 12 men to play for 20 minutes then, which is a quarter of the game.
Yeah.
Where you've had the disadvantage. It's really tough to do that.
Lee looked a little bit undercooked, a little bit slow.
Yeah. There was no Epape, was there?
Well, he went off injured. Matt Moylan, I think, went off injured as well.
Well, there's definitely no Epape for a while.
Yeah.
But Moylan
will be fine.
They've got fingers crossed for Moylan. But Epape's obviously out for a while. Last year that derailed them, so we'll have to wait and see.
Obviously, they brought in Thingy, haven't they, to play, who could play in the halves. Could play at 9.
Who?
What's his name?
Where's he from?
I don't know, his name will come to me in a
I
minute.
didn't know
if
Liam
I remember
Neeson
later on.
signed.
Should we move over to Headingley though?
Yeah.
Now this was probably, for me, the surprise performance.
Game of the round?
Yeah.
Game
Yeah,
of the round?
you could argue so, yeah.
Okay.
A few penalties in here. Salford had an extra sin bin in with Brearley and Amir Burrow.
Yeah. The Braley one I get. The
Burrow one I thought was...
Momirovsky one I get.
Yeah.
The Borough one was really harsh.
Yeah. But Ash Hanley got 2 for Leeds.
Including an amazing try, which...
Really good try.
I mean, everyone's already seen that try because it's been everywhere,
And
understandably, because that is how you market the game.
Yeah.
I do think McDonald should have had him on the cover across.
Yeah.
But he's playing the cutback, and the cutback never happened because Hanley just backed himself, which is what you want to see.
Yeah.
Brilliant try, get that plastered everywhere. It's up there with that try Dom Young scored for England.
Yes.
At Newcastle.
He picked up a nasty injury, haven't he?
Oh,
Dom Young, once you
Young,
mentioned his name.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for Dom Young there, everyone.
But Sam Lissoni, with 10 minutes to go, picked up the try that made it 20 points to 16.
Yeah, the winning try, Sam Lissoni.
Yeah. For Salford, Ollie Partington and Cade
I want to
Cuss.
dance for Sam Lissoni.
I just think Leeds, they look like a side, and it's so easy to say, they look like a side with a brand new spine. A new 1, 6, 7 and 9. Cam Smith was the boss last year. He pretty much dominated from what I saw at Leeds. So it's going to take them time to figure out.
I'll tell you who caught my eye for Leeds, this apart from the obvious of Handley scoring that try, was Reece Martin.
Yeah.
Again, such a good player.
Yep.
Dolphins want him for next year. I can see why. He's clearly got so much still in the tank. His hands were unbelievable. He set Miller through a gap where he nearly scored. He kicks everything as usual. He's just so solid defensively that Reece Martin is a player that I would covet with envious eyes as a Wigan supporter, because Reece Martin is one of the standout second rowers that we've got in our competition. And I don't know why more isn't made of him from a marketing standpoint. Because here's a guy from... If you don't follow rugby league, or even if you do really, it's an obscure nation. Papua New Guinea, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's a superstar. He's a goal kicking forward. They're rare, and he can score a try. He can set one up. He seems like a nice enough lad. To me, he's the kind of player that we should be building our marketing around. People like Wellesby, people like French, because he comes from a place that footballers don't come from. Rugby union players don't really come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely
They're a bit
an area to target.
But we never seem to do that. Obviously, we got Wellesby on a lot of the posters, which is a good thing. Field always seems to get on a lot of posters. These are good things, but I think that the public could get behind somebody like Reece Martin as a bit of a hero.
As a difference, a point of difference.
The Leeds fans clearly love him.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Seems to get better every game, and is providing more of an influence.
Who's the official captain now for Leeds? Do you know?
I think it's still Cam Smith. Isn't it?
Cam Smith. Yeah, that makes sense.
But Salford, let's just quickly talk on Salford. A very thin squad. They've added Nofaluma to it.
Yeah. They needed a winger.
And they've got that. 2 big centres that can cause problems in Lafay and Nene McDonald.
Yeah. Oh, McDonald looked good.
He looked good.
McDonald made a lot of meters. He looked really good.
I just felt Salford was a lot of effort. And maybe I was a little bit too harsh putting them 11th.
I think maybe you were after that game. They were decent. Cade Cuss went well.
Yeah.
There was a scary moment where he held his shoulder and I thought, not again for Cust. But got the first try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pleased for Cust. Thought he went well with Sneed as his new partner. Yeah. McDonald, like I said, went really well. Salford, I think Salford will be okay.
If we look at the last game over in France.
Yeah, same time as our game, wasn't it?
Same time as ours. Catalan 16, Warrington 10. Tries for Jordan Abdul Artemog for Catalan, and the tries for Warrington were Lindop with a brilliant finish on debut.
Yeah, 17-year-old with
17-year-old
debut.
I know,
very Australian.
Went very Australian.
Australian style debut.
Yeah.
Debuting for the Parramatta Eels, no man, the Warrington Wolves in that kit. But yeah, brilliant finish from Lindop. And the other try was a nice try as well. Dufty get it. Dufty's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he scores that lovely try.
But I was critical of him.
But he let Jordan Abdul score, so he has to score that try to make up for the 4 that he led in for Abdul.
And this is my issue with Dufty as a player. And that sounds harsh, but very, very good going forward. His defence is lacking.
Yeah.
And you can say that he let Lindop take the catch and Lindop didn't get the
fullback's job.
You're the fullback. This lad's on debut in person.
He said debut again.
I know.
You're fully Australian now.
But
because Brian Fletcher's on the TV.
Yeah. But you've got to dominate that. Make it yours. And then when it bounces, he just turns his back and stands there.
Yeah.
And there was no urgency. He might not stop it.
That would be a bad run.
You might not stop it. But put the effort in.
Burgess would have been fuming at that one, I think. Because you've defended well to get a kick from 25-30 metres or whatever it was where Abdul was kicking it from. To defended quite well up to that point. That was the first try. Just before half time, you're winning. Just deal with it.
Make it yours.
Yeah.
I always ask myself, and this is because he's one of my favourite ever. Does Sam Tompkins make that his? Deal with the issue? Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He leaps, he catches it, done with, dealt with, see you later.
And even if he doesn't, he probably has to do it tackling Abdul.
Yeah. Does Zach Hardacre, does Field. I expect them all to go for it.
Yeah.
The best fullbacks.
The fullback should go for that, really. And maybe you got a call from Lindop. Maybe we're being harsh on Dufty. Maybe it was the winger's fault, but it always looks like the fullback's fault when that happens.
When the ball bounces,
you know what I mean?
Yours.
It always looks like
especially
the
when he's
fault.
such a young lad.
Yeah.
That you're there with. I don't know. Maybe that's us being harsh, but my first criticism was of Dufty.
And then he goes on and scores a lovely try. Second half, which.
And you see the best and worst of him in the same game. Right. That wraps up our
review,
not preview, review of Super League. And when we come back, we'll talk about this big game that's happening on Saturday. See you then. So welcome back to the final section of this podcast, and there's a pretty big game on Saturday. If you're not aware of it, 24,000 Wiganers will be at the DW. Oh, not all Wiganers, a bit unfair. There might be a few from elsewhere.
Yeah, Chris Redlinski has said there's quite a lot of tickets been sold to neutrals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, we're playing a very, very good side in this Penrith side. Who have some mega superstars, Nathan Cleary, Dylan Edwards, the list goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah, Brian Toto,
Isaiah
Yeo, Liam Martin,
Fisher Harris.
James Fisher Harris.
Some serious side, and they are going to come here. They've landed, they're in the country, and it's winners of the grand final versus the winners of the grand final. It's going to be a real test for Wigan.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last time we hosted this game in 2019, it was against the Roosters, and I remember watching both teams warm up, thinking that's pretty frightening. The tricolour of Sydney Roosters, eastern suburbs, the famous jerseys, the famous team, almost feeling intimidated by them, which I hadn't done when we played Cronulla or St George. Now, do Penrith come into that category? Not historically, no, not really. But over the last few years, they have been the benchmark for any team in any competition. They lost one grand final, and then they've won...
3, is it?
Is it 3 in a row? Yeah, they beat the Rabbits, the Eels, and the Bronx. Yeah, so won 3 in a row. So they've been to 4 in a row. They've won 3 in a row. They're going to be focused. They lose players every year and somehow get better.
Well, that's it. I was just going to point out the players that they've lost. Obviously, Jerome Luai is injured.
Yes.
So isn't available to say he's...
Interestingly, they're going
He's
to
not
go
left.
with the young lad. I can't remember his name. He's only ever played one game. Cole, I think. Isn't it Cole?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, they've picked him instead of Brad Schneider. Or they're going to pick him instead of Brad Schneider.
No, is that the talk?
The
at
talk
moment?
is that he's a backup 6 and Brad Schneider's a backup 7, and it's so key, the difference between 6 and 7 with them, that you can't slot the 2 7s together. I thought that's unusual. I think we could have that. We could have Hampshire and Smith together, for example.
Or Hampshire and French. And Smith
Yeah.
and French. And
So maybe in this country we see halfbacks as halfbacks, and they see 6s and 7s a bit more. That's just interesting.
as separate.
I thought
entities.
Brad Schneider would be playing.
Yeah, I was pretty certain he was going to be the one to play. But the other noticeable out is Stephen Crichton, who's obviously moved to the Bulldogs. And they're just going to pull someone in to play who's going to play to the similar level. Crichton is a very, very good player, and he will be a miss.
Morgan Smithies, Kai Pearce-Paul, Toby
Yeah.
King,
Yeah,
Sam Powell.
I look at this Penrith side, and they are an elite winning machine. They play the game the correct way.
Oh, they do actually. That's a good point.
And we're going to have to do the same. We're going to have to play the right way. We're going to have to work hard, stand up to them. A very dominant pack that dominates a lot of NRL packs, and give Nathan Cleary the platform to play off.
Yeah.
We have to stand up to that. We have to to be dominant and stop Cleary playing. Stop the ball getting to their outside backs in dangerous territory, and then
We've made the jokes in the past about Cleary wearing Harry Smith pyjamas and posters of Harry Smith upon his bedroom wall, but let's be honest, I am a bit looking forward to seeing Nathan Cleary in action.
this guy can play. He is a serious.
He's
serious
unbelievable,
player.
isn't he?
And again, there's that element of not being overawed by him, and not being overawed by this side that's won 3 in a row, and never looks like they miss a beat.
Well, they've been beaten, haven't they? St Helens beat them last year, and we've got to try and emulate that. We've got to try and do the same thing. Now they are over here this time. Whether that plays into our hands more, it probably does. But they had awful weather last year, which was always a bit of an equaliser. They had a few out last year. They were really missing Luai this year, but he is an important player for them. Like I said before, they've lost a few players, but they always lose players.
Yeah,
And in the past, it has maybe taken them a few
rounds
to get going with the new players, but then when they do get going, they're unstoppable. So there is an element of the unknown with the Roosters, whereas with the Panthers, whereas with the Roosters, it almost felt
it felt like the same team from the year
inevitable.
before.
Yeah, well, it was really.
Now, I want to talk about Wigan's outs. Luke Thompson unfortunately failed a HIA.
Yeah, so it was a head-to-head clash.
Yeah.
Head-to-head clash with Tassipali from Cass.
Now Luke will be really, really disappointed that he's not available to play this game. He'll have been eyeing it up as every player would. But you can't do anything about it now. You've got to move on.
The World Club Challenge used to be the first game of the season. And then for some reason Leeds had Manly over after a couple of weeks once. And it just stuck that way. And I, for one, don't think it should be like that. I think it should be the first game of the season just to avoid things like this.
But then again, it could happen in a warm-up fixture.
It could, of course, but obviously you can't go into the Cass game thinking, oh, I better not get injured or I can't play.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
You need to win that game.
You need to win that game.
So, as much as it's a disappointment that he's injured, and there's a little bit of concern around Cruz Leeman, who had a bit of an ankle injury.
Yeah, he was limping around.
He was limping and hopping at the end.
He did score that try after his injury, though.
Yeah, it was weird. Maybe it's just a bit of swelling and he'll be fine.
Fingers crossed.
If they aren't fine, we just have to roll our sleeves up and do a job.
It's interesting, if they aren't fine, the 3 big injuries we'll have are Thompson, Leeming and Walters. And aside from Kieran for King, we've pretty much going to play the World Cup Challenge with the lads that got us there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. A lot of people have always said we should play the World Club after the final because it should be the same squad.
Have to agree.
Yeah, but how do you fit it in? I don't know how you fit it in, but I'd like it to be the same squad. I don't know. I also think there could be something in the sort of the NFL style or the NRL style where they get presented with championship rings at the next home game. But then that would mean Toby King not playing for Warrington on that night, and yeah, that just wouldn't work because Smithies and Pierce Paul wouldn't be able to come back. So that there's obviously nothing in that. But I just think that same squad for one more game would have been.
I think it's only fair for both teams. Penrith have lost Crichton, they've lost Spencer Leniu to the Roosters. We've lost 3 or 4, a couple of injuries. It's not the same side that won it.
No.
Is it? You can argue whether it's better or worse or whatever you want, but that's not the side that won the grand final.
It's an interesting discourse about the World Club Challenge as a whole, but I do obviously love it. I remember fondly the 3 games we've had at the DW, even the 2 we lost, but especially the one that we won. Just I never thought we'd win that competition in my lifetime. I thought the NRL was so far ahead that I never thought I'd see us win that competition, and yet I'm going into this week thinking,
thinking we can win.
We can do it again. We might do it again, you know.
Yeah, and that's it. And
if we do win it this time, this will be our best. Oh, I don't know about our best in our lifetime. Our best.
It'd be the best in our best in Super League, whatever you wanted to call it.
Obviously, going there and winning against Brisbane in the 90s twice. Yeah. Oh, what was one of them?
Once.
Only once against Brisbane. Yeah.
I just think.
Oh, one was against Penrith.
Yeah.
At Anfield.
I just think, as good as this Penrith side is, it's a one-off game.
Oh yeah, and they'll be called.
Yeah.
They were having no friendlies and a post-training session against Warrington.
Yeah.
Who've played against Catalans and got another game this week.
It's a situation that's not ideal for both sides. But I'm sure both sides would have wanted 2-3 weeks of pure dedicated time and to go into a camp and do whatever. But all we can do as a Wigan fan is make it difficult for them.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the DW rocking. I was at the DW when it was full a couple of months ago for the Latics game in the FA Cup against United, and to be honest, there were 8,000 United fans there making a bit of noise, and apart from that it was a bit dead. But it felt good because it was full.
It's full. And it just brings a level of energy.
Under the lights, it was full, there was fireworks, and it brought a bit of energy. There's that hum. You know when there's so many people there, even if they're not cheering or shouting or anything, there's that hum. There was one lady shouting. Not very clever things, but I'm looking forward to it being full and buzzing.
We have to make it difficult for them.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Right. As good as this Penrith side is, I can't back against Wigan. I can never do it. I never will.
No.
If
we win, it'll be close.
Listen, I think it'll be close.
I think it'll be close either way, actually.
Whoever wins, I think we're not going to...
Or
I hope. I think this is more maybe hope or whatever, but no side wins by 2-3 tries.
No. I hope that doesn't happen.
More for the neutral and whatever.
Yeah.
I want Wigan to win.
BBC, 8 o'clock, not going up against anything really, is it?
No, not at all.
Just should be a lot of people watching.
All right. I can't wait for Saturday.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. That wraps up this episode of The Wigan Way.
Yes.
We've previewed round 1, reviewed round 1. We've previewed next week and previewed Saturday's World Club Challenge match.
Yes.
What a time to be a Wigan fan, and we hope you're tuning in this time next week after a favourable result, should we say.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening. Thank you, Matty, for joining, and
have a good week.
See you later, guys. Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.